let's get right into this. Let's not act like a monkey. Let's get into this. There's another school lunch controversy that just happened. That really just happened. And if you were to look up school lunches, and I'm about to show you, like right now, you would find that there was another controversy in New Jersey that was posted all around social media. And back then, like, school lunch was all about places people would choose. Now, since the USDA came in, everyone's making the right choices. So if you were to look up school lunches on the internet, school lunches in the news, on the internet, which I'm about to show you right now, there's a controversy that happened from Inside Edition. So, let's take a look. Take a look at this.
Think you're a good driver? Now's your chance to prove it with Karma Drive.
Dare you to guess what's on this plate? Give up? It's supposed to be a chicken cheesesteak sandwich that was served for lunch at a high school. Students across the country are posting images of what's on the menu at their schools in a new phenomenon called lunch shaming. Here's Les Trent.
How is that milk?
Cafeteria food has always been the butt of jokes, but this isn't funny.
Look at what they're giving us at lunch.
Students, disgusted by what they're being served, are taking their beef online.
Look at this. This is the main meal. It looks like puke and applesauce. Nasty.
In Paterson, New Jersey, parents are up in arms after images of moldy food and expired milk were shared online. Can you even tell what this is? Apparently, it's supposed to be a chicken cheesesteak sandwich.
It was disgusting, and I definitely would not feed that to my children. I'm not sure that I would feed it to my pet.
Before the pandemic, many schools used to make lunch in the cafeteria. Due to staffing shortages and budget issues, those days are gone. Now, lunch is prepared by outside vendors. Students in Woodbridge, New Jersey say the food is inedible.
There's enough that us as parents have to worry about. Raw, uncooked, unedible food should definitely not be one of those things.
The vendor responsible for these meals told Inside Edition, "We recognize there have been a few instances where we didn't meet the expectations of all of our students and families and have carefully investigated each situation. There's nothing we take more seriously than the health and safety of our students."
First of all, is that hamburger even cooked?
We asked dietitian Amy Shapiro what a chicken cheesesteak sandwich is supposed to look and taste like.
Well, it should look something like where the meat is filling up the bun, so you're not just eating too much bun. And additionally, there should be fruits and vegetables available.
To quote Oliver Twist,
Please, sir, I want some more.
but in this case, it's more like, "Please, sir, I don't want any more."
That's suspicious.
I'm angry for the people in New Jersey, and I support the people who are up in arms about this on social media. Now, let me read you the article from ABC 7NY. There's a combination of outrage discussed at a school lunch in New Jersey over the stomach-turning images meals served to students for lunch. In Patterson, what's now on the menu is being course confused with a side dish and disgust. Photos were posted by a parent on social media last week with serving food served at Patterson International High School. It's more like a Warskash test than something you would eat. But the former student 2019 says it's been a problem for years. And the Board of Education, Kenneth Simon, said they're calling for changes to the district's $5 million food services program. Nothing about the 95% of school districts qualify for free or reduced lunch. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the disgusting crap that the lunch people serve your child. The board president says they could decide to retrain the staff who prepares these meals, and that would happen immediately. Or they could decide to outsource the meals, and then outside the processes would take a bit longer. Either way, the decision we made is ASAP. And if you heard And if you heard that statement, they said this will never happen. Obviously, say we want to retrain our staff. Well, it's a little late for an apology because when you do something you're not supposed to be doing, something like this, that causes an uproar. Going on social media, crying out, saying, "Look at what they're serving us for lunch. Tastes like crap." Well, for the past days I've been seeing you guys, don't insult the lunch ladies. The only time you can insult them is if they're serving you food that is undercooked or expired. That's when you can insult them. But there's still another issue from that person who was fired. Who was suspended. I think I told you the story, but I'm going to tell you again when you return because I think that's what something needs to happen from that story. So we're gonna take a break right now after the story. I told you my opinion on this, so we're gonna take a break right now. But coming up, this is a story that happened back in 2015. And what really got my attention during the time of school lunch. I think most of this half hour we're going to be talking about the school lunches, and it's another classic break. Stay tuned. Imagine if you were an employee who was serving lunch like this. Now imagine you served that lunch and the school superintendent tasted that, and you were wrongfully suspended. Well, that's what happened as WTVR CBS 6 looked into that story about a suspended employee who complained about the school lunch. Her name is Melissa Hiplock. She reported the story. So here's Melissa Heplock with this story of that suspended employee. Take a look.
They're awful.
Pictures of burnt pizzas and something so charred it is hard to identify filled Beth Paulette's camera roll.
What is that? Those are the ribs, supposedly.
Paulette says her sons first showed her the pictures of the cafeteria food at King and Queen Central High School on Monday, and other students confirmed their story.
It just looked so unappetizing. I could not even bring myself to even try it at all.
We brought those concerns to Superintendent Dr. Stanley Jones, who was out of town but spoke to us over the phone. Would you want the children here eating food that looked like that? Or being served food that looked like that? Jones admitted there is a problem and confirmed the head of food services for the entire school system was suspended a couple of weeks ago.
If an employee is suspended, generally going to be related to performance.
I have an email that
But we talked to that suspended employee, Suzanne Gilbertson, and she says none of this is her fault.
My cafeteria employees have always been told if you're not going to eat it, don't serve it to the students.
Gilbertson says the superintendent put someone in charge of the high school's cafeteria a few months ago, and she says that person is not properly trained. On top of that, Gilbertson says these emails show that she reached out to Dr. Jones about the issue, but she was told she did not have any authority over the new manager.
I was advised that these employees, they don't report to me as they report to human resources and to the superintendent.
Now, the superintendent also told me he expects his food services employees to work together as a team, and if they did,
this issue wouldn't exist. He said he would address the overcooked food with his staff immediately. As for Gilbertson, she plans to address the school board with her concerns at their next board meeting. Working for you tonight, I'm Melissa Hippolyte for CBS 6.
And when I looked at that story and I reported it, well, here's what I have to say basically. It's just, why report to the superintendent about this? That's the last resort. The lunch, if you work for the school lunches, you have to report this to the head of food services. And all the employees are like, well, if you're not going to eat, don't serve it to the kids. It's like a school lunch is supposed to be a place to keep you focused. But through all these articles that I've seen or heard of, I just think that nothing's being done. That employee that you just heard about was suspended. Wrongfully suspended. And I have to agree with her. You don't report to her. And they don't report to her, they report to the Human Resources and the superintendent. Well, it's like, okay. And main reason for these school lunches is basically because of the money. It's like we need to spend our tax dollars on giving our kids good meals and giving our kids a reduced free lunch if they refuse to pay. Which brings me to the next point. Overpaid crap. From the school lunches, it's like, if your child was qualified for free lunch during the pandemic or before the pandemic or sometime this year, you wouldn't know what that means. Reduced prices or free lunch. Just a simple piece of paper to fill out, and then your child would be basically eligible for free lunch. It's like if you don't pay for this, then you get the cold plate. It's just basically a sad, unappetizing cheese sandwich. That's what happens in many school districts. Like if you don't pay for your lunch, this is what happens. You get an unappetizingly sad cheese sandwich. That's the cold plate. And it's like, sorry, you didn't pay for this, so here you go. It's unappetizing. And that's the main reasons why kids are going to town, going to get food. Which, hey, I understand, but y'all gotta get your stuff together. Get your stuff together by making sure that you're being on time with the money. But your parents involved and say, hey, don't forget to pay for my lunch, or hey, don't forget this, or if you qualify for a reduced lunch, then okay. And even a hiccup happened. Oh, I'm not going to go into that, but we're not going to be talking about free lunch. But going off topic, what we're talking about is basically undercooked food served to the students. I mean, that can make them sick. And even 6 days ago, there was a story from Woodbridge School District of a school who was served rotten food in a cafeteria. Now, that's not the way it's supposed to go. Unexpired food, hot and healthy, to keep your child going. But when you hear something like this, it turns your stomach. The logic of it is, you go to your school lunch, and the logic of it is, you go to your lunch, you eat your lunch, and you still throw us on a day. When we return, We'll look at that story from Woodbridge after the break. It's a story that's causing a stir online. More school lunches are being shown on TikTok and on social media about disgusting crap, overburned food, and rotten food. Which brings us to the story that happened 6 days ago from Woodbridge. They were accused of serving several students rotten food. Dozens of parents say the food that the Woodbridge School District is feeding the students isn't fit for human consumption. So, let's take a look at the story.
We have moldy burgers, frozen sandwiches, and even expired milk. Dozens of parents say the food that Woodbridge schools are feeding their kids is not even fit for animals.
News New Jersey's Naomi Yane is live tonight with this story. Naomi, this has to be frustrating for not only the parents, but the kids as well.
Very frustrating, Brittany and Kurt. There's even a petition that's going around right now, started by students and their parents. Right now, we're seeing 1,100, we're watching that count, there it goes, 1,140 signatures on this petition so far. Again, started by students and their parents. And students are saying that the food the school system is giving them isn't fit for human consumption, and it's got their parents angry and looking for a new food service provider.
Shame on you. You should be eating this, not them.
That's the message from Alina Iluterio to Woodbridge Township's Board of Education and Chartwell's K-12 Woodbridge School's current food service provider.
How can you do this to these kids? My 15-year-old will come and tell me, Mom, this is wrong. What about a 5-year-old, 6-year-old?
Alina's son Alex is a junior at Woodbridge High School and had to be picked up from school this week after becoming sick when he ate a burger at lunch. Unfortunately for Alex, he didn't notice the burger had gone bad until it was too late.
I went back to my class after lunch and I started feeling really sick. So I went down to the nurse and where I did start having the runs. When I got home, I started throwing up and, my stomach was really fighting with me and it was just a really bad experience.
Rancid or uncooked food isn't only an issue at the high school level, but in the lower grades too. Christy Salzano has 2 sons in Woodbridge schools, one who attends Woodbridge Middle School and another at Ross Street School. And both her sons have had bad experiences with what's been on the lunch menu.
The first day of school, he came home and he said, Mom, I couldn't even eat the sandwich because it was literally frozen solid. It was a turkey and cheese sandwich and it was frozen.
This is not the first time Chartwell's K-12 has caused students to stew. In 2014, students at a Connecticut high school boycotted school lunches provided by Chartwell's for similar lunch woes. Here in Woodbridge, students who can afford to bring their own lunch or buy lunch elsewhere have resorted to doing so. But what happens with the kids who can't?
It's just not fair. I mean, there are some children that they rely on this meal. Their moms and dads maybe can't afford to send them with lunch.
We did reach out to Chartwell's K-12, and a spokesperson for the company said, in part, we recognize there have been a few instances where we didn't meet the expectations of all of our students and families and have carefully investigated each situation. There's nothing we take more seriously than the health and safety of our students.
What's the hope here?
That the food is better prepared and actually taken care of, because what they're giving out right now is criminal.
Now, we did reach out to the Board of Education. We got no response, unfortunately. However, the Board of Education will be meeting at the Ross Street School behind me here on Thursday, and parents will be sure to be in the building to be sure that their voices are heard. Brittany?
Naomi, thank you. Of course, we will follow up with this next week.
Now, is there an article that goes along with this? You bet your ass, you bet your school, you bet your wobbly stomach there is. It's like rotten food. You don't serve that crap to your kids. If you serve that to your kids, you're going to be held accountable. For moldy hamburgers, frozen sandwiches, and expired milk, throw it away. If it's expired, you throw it away. If it's moldy, you throw it away. If it's frozen, thaw it out. Heat it up. Like, what about a 5 and 6-year-old? And that petition that we talked about? Well, it was over like, it was over 1,100 signatures. So I'm proud for these students stepping up to the plate and taking a petition to make a better school lunch. Students and parents say this won't happen again. Well, I bet that if they decided to look into this and say, we goofed, we made a mistake, this will never happen again. We're sorry. Sorry's a little late. I'm angry for the parents, I'm angry for the students, and I'm angry at you guys from the school district who serve this kind of crap to the kids and expect to say, here, eat it. You're fortunate I don't go to that school. Because if I did and ate that lunch, I'd be coming after you with emails, letters, and complaints. Now the person who, the spokesperson for that we talked about said we investigated this, and spokesperson for Chartwell's Truth UK, like, we recognized that there have been a few instances where we didn't meet the expectations of our students and families. We carefully investigate the situation and we take more than seriously than the health and safety of our students. It's like, here you go. It's like a prank. You don't serve your kids stuff like that. I mean, if you did that, the spokesperson would go to the board and say, hey, we apologize. This will never happen again. Mind you, this was probably before the pandemic. And this still happened in 2014. They boycotted the school lunch provided by the Chartwell's 12K. And at that time there was a board meeting. But was there a board meeting? But was there a board meeting? So, let's find out. I think there was, and I think there was, and I think that I'll provide you with the link to this in the description to, but we'll probably do another episode, so let's get to another one. Now, let me ask you this. Imagine that your favorite coach was suspended for like this, and imagine wearing a shirt. Now imagine you go to school one day and the school said you can't wear that shirt because of issues, and you're probably sent home. That's exactly what happened. Oops, wrong story. That's exactly what happened. Let's see if I can find it. Find it. Oh, there it is. It happened at Riviera ISD. I'm not going to play the video, but real quick, I'm going to play you that. Well, actually, I'll be back in a moment to play the video. Justice for Suarez. That's what one student wore it short for. And that's what happened from Coach Suarez, who basically, his name was Jesse Suarez, from the girls' basketball coach, and he was fired and in support. And that person who wore that short was probably suspended for it. Now, there's no article on that, but we'll let you know the situation goes. That's all. It's just give me a break. Friday going to Saturday, but before you leave, I want to give a huge shout out to Dale Nelson. Today, he received started. Yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to Dale Nelson. Just today, a couple days ago, it's his 40th anniversary of Channel 6, and the news team celebrated his 40th anniversary. So, congratulations, Dale Nelson, on your achievement in 40 years. Let's go for another 40 years. Let's go for 80 years. Let's go for 100 years, if you're still around. I'll see you Saturday night. Have a good night, everyone. And thank you, Dale Nelson, for telling us all about it on the weather. Through good and bad times. Through Hurricane Harvey, the Hurricane Hannah, to Tropical Nicholas, we count on you. Good night.